It's been a hell of a week in the paranormal, and we're here to round up everything that has gone on thus far. Starting off with some paranormal debunkers, who have then turned to faking paranormal content. It is literally the reverse of this channel. We've also got paranormal debunker Beardo Gets Scared taking on a paranormal investigator called Moxley, which was pretty heated. And then we've got Ghost Adventures. Obviously, we can't go a week without some kind of news from Ghost Adventures and why it won't survive over on YouTube. And then we've got the Clown Motel potentially finally being exposed. So the first thing that we spoke about this week was the fact that a paranormal debunker by the name of Angry Casian, who, you know, it's quite a loose term to call him a debunker, basically is taken to creating allegedly fake paranormal content to try and boost himself in the algorithm. The paranormal side of YouTube is a very, very fickle place. You've got the hardcore believers, you've got the hardcore disbelievers, and then there's a bit of a grey area in between where some people want to believe but don't believe and want to watch stuff on YouTube for the sake of believing but want to watch it for entertainment. It's a very fickle place. You can't say for certain who's real, who's fake anymore. But there are the people out there who are trying to prove the paranormal, right? You've got the likes of Twin Paranormal and Sam and Colby, who go out every week and make videos for entertainment and also to try and prove that the paranormal's real. You've got the likes of the debunking community who go out there and watch Twin Paranormal and Sam and Colby and say, no, this is not real because of X, Y, and Z. And it becomes a bit of a turf warfare kind of situation. But you may remember one person in particular who goes by the name of Angry Casian. Now, Angry Casian was a very controversial person because he would make videos asking, is so-and-so fake? Alright, so is Proving Demons fake? Is Paranormal Nightmare TV fake? Is Adam Mark Explores fake? Are the Ouija Brothers fake? All the rest of it, right? And instead of kind of giving a detailed analysis and breakdown on why so-and-so might be fake for X, Y, and Z reasons, instead, Angry Casian would watch a clip, go fake, hit the next button, and then watch it fake, hit the next button, fake, hit the next button, without any explanation, rhyme, or reason as to why the person may actually have faked that, piece of evidence. And they started to catch a lot of flack, especially as they seemed to go particularly hard at female paranormal investigators. The likes of Mackie and Amanda, the likes of Selena Spooky Boo, the likes of Call Me Chris, Ghost Club Paranormal, right? They were incredibly toxic towards female creators, and they were vile. And I've seen some vile things online, but this person was incredibly misogynistic, was even fat-shamed Selena Spooky Boo at one point, which is absolutely despicable behaviour, all in the name of trying to debunk the paranormal. And then, he got called out by a bunch of paranormal debunkers and made a video titled, Let's clear some stuff up again. I'm not a debunker, even though his work online is to debunk paranormal videos or claim something is real or fake, which, in many people's minds labels you as a debunker. But he's like, no, I don't want to be a part of the debunking community. They're toxic, even though he, in his own right, is toxic as sin, right? He was the most toxic creator I think I'd ever seen on the platform at one point or another. And he kept up this theme of, is da-da-da fake, is this fake, is that fake, are these people fake, are they fake? And then suddenly it all kind of slowed down. And about 6 months ago, they stopped making, is this person fake videos? They went on to a UFO topic. Then they went on to YouTube is mad at me. UFO topic. Twin Paranormal. Is this fake, is that fake? And then suddenly there was a weird shift in narrative. Apparently, they've now got a haunted ranch, similarly to that of CJ Fasion, who they just recently reacted to. Then all of a sudden, they've got this stuff. They've got portals coming out of everywhere, they got taps, they got bangs, they got noises, they got voices, and all the rest of it. And suddenly the internet was like, the fuck is this? You've spent the past 3 years on your channel being toxic as sin and stating that you absolutely despise the fake paranormal, to then go on and start making fake paranormal videos. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. Make it make sense. Even in his description of his channel, I'm just a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter that is sick of all the fake on here, YouTube. Fake paranormal is fake videos that make us real investigators look bad. We are not all liars, fakers, scammers. Most of us care about the real and are sick of being made fun of. And then you've got these 8 videos here. Now you might say to me, Ben, how do you know that these are fake? I've not really delved into them, so I don't know. But there are a handful of debunking channels that have looked into this. One of which being the Side-Eye guy. Nope, that's the wrong debunker. The Shape, the guy that wears the hockey mask. And he made a video, Haunted by Artificial Intelligence, the Angry Casian, in which they go on to kind of talk about the Angry Casian. But the Angry Casian, before we give into the video, I do need to give a little bit of context, and in the want of fairness, I suppose, they go on to talk about why they're so haunted. All right, and this is the reason that they gave.
Here lately, I've been catching way more voices and shit than I really want to, and I'm just being honest, okay? And of course, we'll talk about the other stuff in just a minute. But so I had a conversation with a bunch of colleagues of mine that were out here on the ranch. That, well, they're not catching anything, not like the stuff that I'm catching. Now, I will be honest, we went out back and they caught stuff with me. So, but anyway, these colleagues of mine have a kind of a strange theory. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Now, straight off the bat, obviously, it's a bit odd, right? That, Angry Casian's catching loads of stuff, and then he brings colleagues in who capture absolutely nothing. Instantly, ding, red flag goes up.
Their theory is the reason why I'm catching more right now is because I was very sick not that long ago and died a couple times and was really close to not making it. So
now, obviously, that's horrific, and I do hope that you get better soon, right? But at the same time, how do you die a couple of times and then almost not make it? Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, it's a hyperbole. It's a play on, like, the narrative to be quite dramatic and all the rest of it. I do get that, people do that all the time. You can feel like death, but I don't know how you die a couple of times and then almost not make it. Do you know what I mean? I do hope, though, that any medical concerns are, like, cleared up now and you're feeling better. I'm not a dick, as much as people like to think I am.
So their theory is that because of that, the veil is thinner around me. Okay? Which, not gonna lie to you, slightly makes me a little nervous. Okay? Because what am I, about to fucking die? Like, it's
Now, I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. Obviously, I'm quite open about the content that I've made in the past. This is the kind of narrative that I would have created to make that content plausible. Like, you create a narrative to kind of explain a haunting. Really Haunted does it. Smug Puppy does it. These people that have haunted houses, right? They create these narratives to make the situation plausible, to make it understandable, to make it like you've got a reason for these things happening. Okay? Angry Casian says that he died a couple of times and almost didn't make it, and now they're close to the veil, and that's why there's loads of haunted stuff around him. But cue in the debunking community who have had their 10 pence worth with regards to this. Now, everyone's on the same page about Bayou, who is Angry Casian, about Bayou's behaviour. Now, Bayou's behaviour is toxic as anything. I don't think I've ever seen a creator more toxic than Bayou in my entire life. Alright, he was vile at points towards creators, and it was horrendous, right? Now, The Shape, like I say, chimed in and made a recent video where he claims to own a quote-unquote haunted forest ranch and experiences paranormal activity like cameras failing and hearing voices. Now, The Shape tries his best to point out the hypocrisies as Bayou criticizes those for faking while his own content appears to be staged, and it's got to be said that it appears to be staged. Now, the points that The Shape brings forward for the fake evidence is AI voices. So the Shape notes that Bayou's use of AI-generated voices, for example, a female voice saying, "help us," or "you're mine now," that sound unconvincing and lack emotional urgency. And they highlight a critical moment where Bayou reacts to a voice before it even plays, suggesting it was overlaid in post-production. In one instance, Bayou even forgets to add the voice entirely, reacting to absolutely nothing. Which is quite comical, I must say. And then there's the sound effects. So the Shape also identifies knocking and scratching sounds in Bayou's video as likely to be overlaid, as they occur conveniently when Bayou pauses in his speech. And, you know, this does suggest that these could be easily faked with basic editing skills, possibly by someone ducking below a possible window. And then there's a comparison to AI samples. So the Shape also plays a clip of an AI Midwestern accent that closely resembles the voice in Bayou's video, reinforcing an argument that Bayou may potentially use artificial audio and overlay it within his video. So, you know, it's quite comical. It is quite, like, some rookie errors, potentially, that may give the game away. But Bayou's behaviour and presentation is also criticised. As, you know, Bayou portrays being a larger production than he actually is, claiming he has editors and producers who lightly edits his videos, and, you know, obviously then goes on to talk about owning a motorcycle, tools and high quality cameras, questioning whether he can, you know, owns the workshop that he films in. Now, the hypocrisy and lack of humility as well. So the Shape calls Bayou hypocritical for condemning other paranormal investigators as fake while faking his own evidence, potentially. And they note his attempt at humility to admitting his mistakes seems insincere, as his reactions are supposed paranormal events are exaggerated or even poorly timed. So you can see where the hypocrisy comes in, where the double standards come in, and where, you know, people are kind of looking at this content and being like, you know, how can you go on 3 years of basically harassing these paranormal YouTube channels, calling them fake, and even going as far as to attack them physically, you know, for their appearances and also for their gender at times, when you're just going to turn around and do the exact same thing. It's very odd. Very, very odd. Let me know what you guys think about this. Obviously, the Angry Casian is one of those people who... It's just one of those people. That's all we have to say about it. Up next, we then had Moxley, who, of course, is a paranormal investigative YouTuber who took on Beardo in the comments section of someone else's video. And, yeah, it got quite heated pretty quick. The well has been dry recently, but as per the typical norm, alright, we've got a Beardo video that dropped, and it is just resurfaced a bunch of drama between Paranormal and Debunker, and now it's come to a head. So let me give you a little bit of context to kind of get you into the loop of what has been going on. Beardo dropped a video about 2 weeks ago, titled "Two Ghost Girls, Fake or Misguided," alright? And it wasn't necessarily a quote-unquote typical debunk that we've got between, you know, like from what you would typically expect to see. It was more of a, you know, let's look into these guys, let's see what happens. Now, they did respond to the video, titled, and they responded, like, you know, only about 4 days ago, titled "We React to Beardo Get Scared." It's a debunking video, right? And it was an over an hour video. They try and, like, go through the entire video, break down the points, either agree or disagree, depending on whether they agreed or disagreed. But that's not where the drama kicks off, right? There's a little bit to do with it, but this was just the breeding ground of the drama. Alright, because a paranormal YouTuber who I'm not sure if they've had run-ins in the past, I can't quite remember. I think they may have, like, had a bit of a run-in in the past, but nothing like this, right? Is Moxley's Paranormal World. Now, Moxley's Paranormal World is not a small YouTube channel by any stretch of the imagination. 77.9 thousand subscribers, 231 videos, all the rest of it, right? You know, he makes urban exploring paranormal videos, you know, the likes that we've come to know with regards to the paranormal. Anyway, he put a comment on the Two Ghost Girls video where he stated, "If I'm being honest, Beardo's done this because you's come out with me, in my opinion. For some reason, he claims he hates me, but was very friendly in emails. Shrugging emoji. And he only thinks I'm fake because of an acorn falling down some stairs that wasn't paranormal and was never claimed to be paranormal. Oh, and the acorn he mentioned was apparently on the shelf that I caught in my video, on the shelf in question. What I'm trying to say is that something that wasn't paranormal on my video is portrayed as being fake just to be able to call me fake. Edit. He's even said he said I've been caught multiple times. Go watch the side-eye guy on me where he says that it was pretty boring but didn't think it was fake. Just wanted to add that Beardo lies about me because of his friend group." Now, that was the catalyst. Alright, that was the catalyst to what comes next. But down in the comments, like in reply to this, there was 19 replies to this. And some people were saying, agreeing with what Moxley had to say. The Ouija brothers were really mentioned a hell of a lot within this. Basically the insinuation, and it's just for the context of the thread of comments, the Ouija brothers and Beardo are like, well, in this comment here in particular, Beardo's referred to as the quote-unquote lapdog. It's not me saying it, it's just what other people have said. And other people have said that the Ouija brothers have ruined their credibility by essentially brown-nosing Beardo and all the rest of it. I don't know. That's just for context of the situation, alright? But someone called Karen says, "I totally agree about the friend group. He seems to go after Ghost series for the same reason. I love your work, watch every week, clearly a fan." And then he responded, "I'm all for the debunker community and people to question what is going on in the video. That is completely fine, but I have no problem with that. To call someone fake because of an acorn coming down the stairs is just ridiculous. I never even noticed an acorn on the shelf, but surprise, surprise, one of his friends just happens to go the day before me. It was on the shelf, and that's his evidence that though I showed it on the shelf, we heard a noise and looked behind us and saw something falling down the stairs. Presumed it was the walnut on the floor, but couldn't be 100% sure. It was one, it was dark and the camera was pointing the other way, and two, it happened so fast. Was it paranormal? No, not at all. It was just something falling, an abandoned building. I'm glad and enjoy my content. That means a lot." Anyway, continues to go on. Someone else replies to someone called Albie Eagle. "At the very beginning of the video, the girls state that they asked Beardo to react to the video. He didn't initially react to the collab with you, so no, he didn't because of you. It's not because he doesn't like you. In my opinion, it's very good deception that 30 East Drive video first and then jump to the one with me. Why not just do the one in the video he normally does from the beginning to end? Come on, mate, that was so clear what he's doing. I knew the min I saw the video what and why he done it." And then other people have responded to it, saying, "Do you know what he does? He's targeting you. Why would he bother?" If he wanted to do that, I'm sure he would just go to your channel and have a look at your videos and call you out for investigating with useless phone apps and equipment. That proves absolutely nothing. At the end of the day, everyone has their own opinions. At least the ladies were incredibly respectful. Well done to them." Moxley responds, "I'm not being disrespectful. I'm defending myself from being called fake when all I do is go out and explore, ghost hunt. Yes, I use phone apps. It's not like I'm going to a mental screaming demon. Let's just say first thing out of his mouth, fake, and that's all he wanted to do. I've said my piece. I can't be doing with the negativity, and I do apologise to the two Ghost Girls once again for commenting. This will be the last time." Moxley responds, and not looking to argue and basically disrespect. You have a large channel, all the rest of it. Moxley says that is very true. Moxley then responds to someone called Mimi Love, said, "To be fair, I feel like you're glazing over the acorn thing. In your video, you scanned the shelf of the acorn was shown, both you and the Morris's footage, and it cuts there in the same spot, and then the acorn is thrown / comes down the stairs. The acorn just happens to be the same size and shape as the holes in the exact same place as the one on the shelf." Basically, in defense of Beardo to a degree. "I respect your opinion. Morris stopped recording. I kept recording. I'm not arguing, just stating why I would Why would I fake an acorn and not even link it to paranormal? It makes zero sense. I'm trying to say, I can't put on my kids' lives that none of this, that none of us slung it. I can put it on my kids' lives that none of us slung it. It was just one of those things that happens to be in an abandoned property. Then no reply. But Super Mr. Death Lord, sorry, was put, sorry, but the amount of the chat is ridiculous. Is this the one? No, it's not the one. I think it's here. Sorry, so Belfast Crafty. I'm guessing you never saw the video where Moxley put on a dead priest's clothing in a house and started playing around with them. If I remember rightly, they implied and made jokes about the priest and liking children, which there was no basis to at all. It was very disrespectful, and I think that's why Beardo and many others have zero time for him. Moxley responds, "Oh, you're on about the box full of robes, and we only done that. What a lot of explorers done wasn't meant to be nasty way. It was called having a laugh. Thank God I never broke into a house where somebody recently passed away and record the remains." Obviously, this is why I'm bringing in the references of the Ouija brothers, because, you know, he's basically referencing the Ouija brothers there, and essentially his issue is that Beardo never called them out for it, even though everyone else did, and people saw it as double standards. You know, that's obviously long in the past. Anyway, would I have got a pass then? Obviously then referencing that Beardo never brought that up. Oh, the priest house with the imaginary cross outside that was edited by the trusted one. Wasn't a priest house multiple like a hostel, just stating facts. Alright, you could see how the conversation is going. I don't believe Moxley actually responded at all anymore. I don't think he's responded to anything else either in the chat from what I've seen. Obviously, it's just a bit of a messy situation. Beardo then obviously catches wind of this and decides that he's going to respond to it. So over on his Facebook page, he put up a post stating, "Oh, Mox, you've been a bit silly, all your whining and lying to defend yourself over a throwaway comment, tisk tisk. But you called me a liar. I'm a lot of things, but a liar is not one of them. So let's remind everyone of exactly who you are, Moxley, and softly spoken liar, faker and makes up stories for priests for views. I wish I'd seen some of your newer comments before I made this too, but there we go. I can always make a follow-up if you don't stop your whinging. Mox, you may want to get some aloe vera for this one." Then he drops the video entitled, "Moxley's Paranormal World is Lying. Fake paranormal, fake excuses, and even faker defenses." And this was dropped yesterday. And within the video, he states a lot of stuff. And he basically seems to get a lot off his chest. Let's just put it that way. So the first thing he talks about is a dispute with the two ghost girls. So he basically addresses a response video by the two ghost girls, criticizing the editing of a clip, which was the Emma and Emily clip that misrepresented their point about the ghost's origin. And they accuse two ghost girls of removing comments, including one from Lee from Three Spires, despite claiming they welcome all opinions. This leads to accusations of dishonesty and behaviour of them acting like fakers. Now, I've got to say, YouTube is a very weird place. You know, I don't know what happened. I'm not defending any actions, but I know from my personal experiences that people have accused me of deleting comments, even on like videos where I'm completely impartial and I have no reason at all to delete comments. And people are like, "Oh, you've deleted my comment." I'm like, no, I haven't. Sometimes it's gone to the held for review. Sometimes, rightfully so, it's gone to the held for review and I leave it there because, you know, it's just toxic as fuck. Or sometimes it's just like put there wrongfully, so I just, you know, let it back out into the world, I suppose. Sometimes, no idea where the comments go. So people like claim that their comments get deleted. It makes me question if they've even left a comment sometimes, because it's just like I don't see the comment anywhere. I'm not saying that is the case, but you know, I'm just saying that YouTube can be a bit weird like that sometimes. Anyway, another thing is that he has like a bit of a conflict with someone called David Jones. Now, apparently David Jones is a frequent commenter on Beardo's content, and is, you know, gets basically criticised for contradictory behaviour by supporting Beardo in their streams and comments, for example, but it's disparaging them on the Two Ghost Girls comment section. And then Beardo does go on to mock David's comments, including personal insults and accusations of quote-unquote thirsting over Two Ghost Girls, and threatens to ban him from live streams for his disloyalty. And then you've got criticism of Moxley. Now, this is where obviously the meat and potatoes comes in. So basically, Beardo calls out Moxley for allegedly faking paranormal activity, specifically obviously referencing the acorn falling down the stairs, claiming it was staged. And another incident involves Moxley and his friends disrespecting a deceased priest by implying inappropriate behaviour and wearing his clothes for a video, which Moxley later apologised for and actually removed. Obviously, in the comments, Moxley claims that it was a joke. To me, that did read as gaslighting, being like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, it's just a laugh. How are you going to state that this is wrong when, we were just having a giggle? But, that's just gaslighting 101. Don't gaslight viewers, Moxley. If you ever watch this, I doubt you will. You probably don't fucking care. But, don't gaslight the viewers. If you've done wrong and you've apologised for it, at least hold your hands up afterwards. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, basically, Beardo then goes on to defend their own efforts, detailing investments in new equipment, travel, and location hires, refuting claims of laziness or a lack of effort. And he also goes on to highlight support for other paranormal channels like Ghost Squad, the Ouija Brothers, Ghost on Trent, in contrast with the criticism of Moxley and others that they deem to be fake. So obviously that's to disparage comments that he's lazy, makes makes content that's just easy to put out, doesn't invest effort and time and all the rest of it. And I mean, I don't know, I don't think he really touched on the comments regarding the Ouija Brothers. I don't know, he probably never will, but that's by the by. Anyway, he also addresses accusations of others like Harron, who claim they unfairly criticise other channels or are influenced by groups. Like the Ouija Brothers. He did comment on that one. He also denies the claims, emphasising their independence and focus on the truth. And they note a general decline in the paranormal YouTube viewership, not just their own, to counter claims of personal failure. I do think that the paranormal side of YouTube's kind of taken a bit of a downgrade recently. Not a downgrade, but it's a bit of a slippery slope where, channels like Sam and Colby are always going to get big views. Twin Paranormal also have taken a bit of a hit from the looks of it with viewership. These big top fives channels, they're not getting the viewership like they used to either. The Paranormal's just kind of fallen off a cliff recently, and it's just not that much interest in it. It was, people had huge interest in it back in the day, back in 2020, around the early 2020s during lockdown, especially in the 2010s. But recently, it's just no one seems to be that interested in it anymore. I think people have just moved on to other things. I don't know. Maybe there is still an interest. Don't get me wrong, but it's not what it used to be. Is the point. But obviously this is just a video which was clearly a lot of frustration just bottled up into a video and just thrown out there. There was a lot of heavy words used, there was a lot of insults thrown about, there was clear disdain towards Moxley, towards the commenters who had left these comments and stuff. Basically it was just Beardo listing off these videos, these comments on this video, just going through them one by one and just trying to fight his corner with it. So, I've seen a lot of these comments across the internet. A lot of people stand up for Beardo. A lot of people were fans of Beardo but now aren't. A lot of people weren't fans of Beardo's and now are. It's a fickle fucking place right now. It's messy. But what do you guys think of this whole situation? After the video dropped, he did drop a post over on his Facebook. Mox, are you feeling that sting? That's pride fucking with you. Other people dropping stuff like this. It's a wild old time. So yeah, The tea is well and truly brewed. Then we've got Ghost Adventures. Now, this whole video spawned because Amy Bruni put out a post basically talking about how paranormal executives are losing their way within paranormal television and are also losing their jobs. And that's obviously quite difficult. But then it kind of turned into a video about how Ghost Adventures might not necessarily survive with the competition against other paranormal YouTubers over on the YouTube platform. Are we actually seeing the official downfall of paranormal TV? Now, this is a conversation, obviously, that's happening across the board for television, right? It's more or less a dying network, let's say, or outlet, at least, because you've got the likes of, you know, paranormal TV shows that were absolutely huge in the 2000s, maybe even early 2010s, okay? Most Haunted, Ghost Adventures, Kindred Spirits, Ghost Hunters. Those are just a few off the top of the dome, right? And they were huge back in the day, and that was where people would go to get their kicks and thrills. But then we saw the rise of YouTube. And YouTube and Netflix as well absolutely changed the game. And it changed the way that people watched television. Because it was on demand. You could get what you wanted when you wanted. You could search up any show. And you could just stream it for free without having to wait for a specific timetable to watch your favourite shows. You could just have it at the palm of your hand. And then obviously the likes of the iPhone came in and made it just so much more accessible. And then that was it. And now TV is a dying outlet. We know this, right? This is just a fact. I've spoken to a lot of TV producers, just like not to do with the paranormal, but just like off the cuff things, right? And they say that everyone is jumping ship from TV and they are going to streaming platforms. That's why the likes of Discovery Plus became a thing. Disney Plus became a thing. It's all to kind of rival and compete with the likes of YouTube and Netflix and Amazon Prime, because those are the key outlets, and that's why these shows are like trying to kind of, you know, merge into the streaming world. And we've seen it with the likes of Project Fear, for example, who started out as Destination Fear over on the Discovery Channel. You know, stuff happened allegedly behind the scenes, and then they've jumped ship over to YouTube and found great success. The Groffs have done it. They went from their own TV shows, jumped ship, went over to YouTube, done their own thing, you know, done quite well with it. Jason Hawes has very much done the same thing from Ghost Hunters and Taps. We've seen the likes of the paranormal couple, Cody and Satori, doing it over on their YouTube channel, right? Everyone's jumping over. And unfortunately, it just seems that the more that these things grow, the higher the decline of paranormal TV. Now, Amy Bruni, who is of Kindred Spirits, right? Yeah, there's been a lot said with regards to this already. So obviously, you know, she made some tweets back in like April of this year, which was like, in my opinion, defending Zach Bagans, and a lot of people saw it as defending Zach, but she was trying to highlight the point that, you know, no network is greater than Zach, Zach's not greater than any network and stuff, and, you know, he's not got the power to take down paranormal shows and all the rest of it. From what I've heard, that's not the case at all. Apparently that is absolutely the possibility, but, you know, that's by the by. Anyway, she made a point within that back in April, that, you know, she knows of people who are getting fired from networks and stuff, and it's incredibly sad to see. People that she knows directly. And she's put out tweets even recently, right? Again, kind of doubling down, once again, keeping it the conversation relevant, stating, just heard from a few of my favourite execs at Travel and Discovery that they were let go. The reality TV decline continues. Sad emoji. Now, this is the first time that she's spoken about this in about a month or two, right? But obviously she had a huge back and forth with Nick Groff and Tessa Groff, and it got really friggin' heated at one point. Even Jason Hawes chimed into the situation at one point as well to kind of talk about the situation, right? But you know, Amy was fine. You know, she is like, she's clearly trying to stand up for the people that she and shine a light on what people don't see. We don't get to see the decline of TV. We see that, like, TV shows and networks are never going to say, oh, we're on the decline. We're struggling for ratings and views and we can't keep up with the streaming platform. So, you know, Amy is shining a light on that, and I respect that. But at what point does it become a case of TV is dead? All right, and when do these paranormal shows finally kind of completely jump ship? Because obviously we've got the likes of, like I said, channels that have done particularly well in this transition. Project Fear, for example, you know, they started out on Discovery and Travel, and then they jumped ship over to YouTube, and they've seen great success with it. We've seen Jason Hawes do it with great success as well. I'm actually really surprised that we haven't seen Ghost Adventures actually do it. I truly would have thought, but then I thought about it as well, and I thought, well, you know, Ghost Adventures is a big fish in now what is deemed to be a very small pond with the Travel Channel and Discovery. They probably have a lot of sway. But that kind of sway and that kind of, you know, executive power is completely removed when you transition over to YouTube. All right? So to put it into context, let's say, for example, everything that we've heard about Zach Bagans is true. Okay, and he's got the power to cancel shows left, right, and centre, remove the competition, and be the top dog, so to speak. Over on the Travel Channel and at Discovery, he's probably got that power. He could probably go and have private, behind-the-scenes, confidential meetings and conversations and say, I don't like these guys, they're competing with me, get rid. And they'll be like, sure thing, Mr. Bagans, consider it done. Whereas if he comes over to YouTube, there is so much competition for Ghost Adventures, so much competition, and if what's deemed to be true about Zach is true, right, and this is a big if because we don't know for certain, right, you know, he can't bully his way through the paranormal and he can't be the top dog. He would have to compete with the likes of Sam and Colby, who are raking in millions of views per video. He would have to compete with the likes of Twin Paranormal, who are also doing incredibly well. Paranormal Nightmare TV. He would even have to compete with Project Fear, who has, you know, he's allegedly removed from a paranormal network already. He would also have to compete with Jason Hawes. He would also have to compete with Nick and Tessa Groff, which I can't imagine would, you know, sit too well with an ego like what Zach's allegedly got. It would get really messy. And I think that there's just way too much competition for the likes of, you know, Ghost Adventures to try and wangle their way over to YouTube. So that's why I don't think they'd do it, right? But ultimately, in the reverse of this, let's not forget as well that, you know, you have got like a core fan base when it comes to Ghost Adventures who probably would come over to YouTube and watch it. But anyway, that's obviously a rant that went just completely off topic there. But it was like just to kind of try and prove a point or state a point that actually TV is a dying art form. And the fact that I know Amy Bruni has like said some things and ruffled a few feathers, but we have to show a bit of respect for the fact that she's trying to shine a light on executives and people behind the scenes who are actually losing their jobs daily, because TV just can't compete with streaming platforms anymore. Because it's, you know, when the older generations are kind of like phasing out and the newer generations are coming in, the newer generations are growing up with the likes of YouTube. I'm 26, right? Almost forgot my age there. I'm 26 and I grew up with YouTube. I grew up with streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime. I don't really watch TV. Like, to the point where, like, paying for a TV license that, you know, by law in the UK you have to pay for, I massively begrudge because I don't watch TV at all. I just watch everything on streaming platforms. And yeah, I don't know. It was just an interesting conversation that I thought I would bring to the forefront. What do you guys think? Is TV dying? I mean, I think it is. But, you know, would these shows see better success jumping ship over to streaming platforms like YouTube? Or do you think that they should just bow out with TV? And then we've got the infamous Clown Motel, obviously one of the biggest paranormal attractions out in the United States, and it may have potentially been debunked by a paranormal debunker by the name of the Side-Eye Guy, who went over there during his USA tour and has basically potentially proven that it's nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Across the world, there are a multitude of paranormal hotspots and paranormal locations. You've got the Conjuring House, sort of, not anymore, but you had the Conjuring House. You've got Penhurst Asylum. You've got 30 East Drive. You've got all sorts. And you've also got, well, what is deemed to be a very paranormal location within Nevada, the Clown Motel. Now, the Clown Motel over the years has built up a bit of a reputation for this quirky roadside paranormal attraction, but it has been dubbed America's scariest motel due to its clown-themed decor and proximity to the old Tonopah cemetery, right? Basically, it's an incredibly haunted location. And across the years, you've had a multitude of incredibly well-known people going over to the motel and swearing its legitimacy as a paranormal hotspot, not just for the creepy clowns, but for genuine paranormal activity. That was until the Side-Eye Guy, a popular debunker over on YouTube, actually paid the motel a visit himself when he was in the USA and basically exposed the motel for having absolutely nothing going on. But a little bit more about the motel in case you didn't know. So it was actually founded in 1985 by Leroy and Leona David as a tribute to their father, Clarence David, who was buried in the adjacent cemetery after dying in the Belmont mine fire. Now, Clarence was an avid clown memorabilia collector, and his initial collection was of 150 clown items formed the basis of the motel's theme. Now, the ownership did change to Bob Pachetti, who purchased the motel and ran it for 22 years, and in 2019, Vijay Mahar acquired it with his brother Haim Anand as CEO, who rebranded it the world's most famous clown motel and expanded its eerie appeal. Now, obviously, just off the beaten track in Nevada as well, it gives it this kind of, it's just in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. Like, it's just there, right? So it adds to this kind of really creepy vibe. Now, the motel currently boasts over 6,500 clown artifacts, including dolls, ceramics, posters, and life-size figurines, and displayed primarily in the lobby's clown museum. Now, the collection has grown from the original 150 pieces, is fueled by donations from visitors who come from worldwide to come and visit this eerie location. It has become a very, very haunted attraction, or like, you know, I think we use the term attraction a bit more, but it has built up a bit of a paranormal reputation in recent years. So in recent times, right, the motel has become very famous for reported paranormal activity, including cold spots, disembodied voices, knocking, scratching, and the sensations of actually being touched. Now, the cemetery spirits, including miners and Clarence David, are believed to actually haunt the motel, with some claiming that crown statues actually act as vessels for the ghosts. Now, to kind of double down on this, the motel has really leaned into this aspect, and they've started offering ghost tours at the motel as well. So it does offer guided ghost tours with a medium, including after dark cemetery visits for $10 a pop, and popular among ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. And it has also, you know, garnered a lot of media attention off the back of this. It has had its very own kind of movie franchise dubbed to it, and it's also been featured on the likes of Ghost Adventures, and it also attracts the likes of many YouTubers, right? So some of the people that have actually visited are, of course, Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventures crew back in 2015, Christopher Sabella, Joseph Kelly, Natalie B. Compton, Amy from Amy's Crypt, Mallory Mackey, and also the likes of Sam and Colby have visited this location, really ramping up the interest in the paranormal intrigue in this location, swearing blind that this is a paranormal hotspot and that they've experienced, every single one of them has walked away with some kind of creepy experience. One of the creepiest is probably one of the haunted dolls, or, you know, clown dolls, moving allegedly on its own. So, you know, you can see why this place has become so popular, but it has also become notably run down over the years. So that it has been under renovation since 2019, but from reviews, people state that the motel is a mix of creepy and fun with clean but dated rooms. Some praise the staff for being friendly, particularly Vijay and Christopher, who are of course the owners, but they do note issues like unpaved parking lots and unclean linens. The prices range from $90 to $125 per night, roughly, and some issues include mice sightings, outdated bathrooms, and the occasional unprofessional behaviour from staff, though the renovations are currently ongoing. So that's just a couple of things to kind of take away from the Clown Motel itself. But the key point for the video is the fact that all of these people that I've kind of listed off have been to the motel and have sworn that, you know, they've experienced something paranormal. Well, this is where we cue in the Side-Eye Guy. So the Side-Eye Guy is obviously a very popular debunker over on YouTube, who has been doing a bit of a tour of the USA, going to these more you know, haunted locations and attractions, and has basically like gone through with it and to see if it's actually haunted. It's from a skeptical point of view. Now, interestingly, the side-eye guy goes in and experiences nothing. To put it bluntly, video over. But he does note the creepy appeal, so he does state that, you know, the Clown Motel's polarizing reputation, with some drawn to its spooky clown theme, with others deterred by the poor cleanliness. It's a niche as a creep fest, and reinforced by the sparse parking lots, where there's only 6 cars available, compared to the busy lots everywhere else in Tonopah. But, you know, he does have a humorous review about it. But in the room's experience, so basically, he stays in room 108, which is themed after Pennywise from the Stephen King novel It. Lighting was dim, and the Pennywise mural, an annoying motion-activated skull, which kept on going on repeat. But room 108 is apparently known for its paranormal activity alongside room 107. Those are apparently some of the most haunted rooms available within the motel. And he experienced nothing. It yielded absolutely no supernatural events for the side-eye guy, despite the guest reports of furniture allegedly moving or walls actually being torn apart. Genuinely, those are some of the reports that have come out about the motel. Furniture moving alone and, you know, walls being torn apart, which is absolutely insane. Now, Seg did go on an hour-and-a-half tour, led by Wanda, who was apparently a psychic, which enthusiasts, you know, makes them excited and exposes the motel's history. But Wanda describes the motel as a memorial to Clarence David, who of course was the miner that passed away in the Belmont mine fire. Yeah. So basically, to cut a very long story short, he does try and, you know, communicate with some spirits, likely, you know, through an EMF meter or spirit box, but exhausted and skeptical, abandons the effort, questioning why ghosts would haunt the motel at all. So I think the takeaway from this is that it was an overhyped sensation, right? Which, you know, it is a pretty creepy place and probably somewhere that many people would want to go and visit because it's a one-off experience. But if you're going there for a paranormal encounter, maybe just don't expect anything super creepy to happen like you would see in typical YouTube or paranormal TV shows. But what do you guys think? Would you still go and visit the Clown Motel, or is it just not for you? What do you guys think about all of this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Obviously back tomorrow with brand new content. Let me know what you guys think about all of this down in the comments. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers, and until next time, I'll spook you later. Peace.